I would like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which we stand today and pay my respect to their elders, past and present. Premier Campbell Newsman, Lord Mayor Graham, Quick and friends, thank you very much for hosting this reception. I am delighted to be present at this function. Congratulations to Brisbane for being such a wonderful host to G20. You did an outstanding job. I know that you have often lived in the shadow of Melbourne and Sydney. This week, you have shown the world what a great city and host you are. Today, I have started my bilateral visit to Australia, and I am pleased to that it has begun here. Queensland is the forefront of relations between India and Australia. Earlier today, I had the privilege to unveil a statue of Mahatma Gandhi in Brisbane. This has added a special bond of emotion between India and Australia. This is a symbol of the values that we share, the ideals we aspire to, and the world we wish to build. The credit for the strong partnership between India and Queensland goes to you, Premier Newman and Lord Mayor. Your mission to India have been very productive and brought our business and our people closer. Several Queensland business delegations are visiting India this year. Queensland has emerged as a major source of key resources to power India's growth development. It is also a major destination of Indian investments. You have supported partnership in education and skills. Queensland's universities and research institutions are collaborating closely with India. They have used the opportunities provided by Australia-India Strategic Research Fund well. I went to Queensland University the other day and met some of your scientists and academics. The joint research we are doing will help our farmers, especially in dry areas, and contribute to food security in India. Queensland's fruits and vegetables are really good. There is a lot of potential for us to work together. I am joined on this visit by a delegation of business and academic leaders from India who are forging strong partnership with Australia and especially with Queensland. I am grateful to you for looking after the Indian community of nearly 100,000. Some have been here for generations Some have come more recently, but they are really happy. Here, they are the bridge of friendship and understanding between us. We can also learn and gain a lot from each other's in tourism. Lord Mayor, Brisbane has emerged as a center of advanced technology. As you said, Hyderabad is also known as Cyberabad. It is natural that two cities have a sister city relationship. I truly welcome the engagement between states and cities. Relations between countries can prosper fully only if we bring our states and cities together. That is why I am also very keen to involve states in India in our international engagements. Friends, this is an exciting moment in India, a moment filled with optimism, a desire for change and progress, and the confidence to achieve it. Driven by the energy and enterprise of our youth, this is a time to force partnerships in India. You will find a welcoming environment that not only makes it possible, but also easy and smooth. Here in Brisbane and at this reception, I feel the sentiment of friendship between our people and the promise of partnership in the years ahead. I want to thank you once again for the warmth of your welcome and your hospitality. Thank you very much. अब अगली बात सिडनी में। आपका बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद।
That's the Prime Minister for you at the Brisbane Town Hall, really taking out the last few moments and teasing his big event at Sydney as well, because most of the people, as Rahul Kanwal has been reporting from the ground in Brisbane at this point, will be travelling to Sydney to be there at that big event at the arena over there. And over here the Prime Minister kept it short and focused on how to take the India-Australia ties forward, connecting them with tourism and other such pointers for the two countries to come together.
Thank you, Prime Minister, for that
for the moment. Rahul,
message.
a short but couple of important points there being highlighted by Prime Minister Modi, of course, leaving the rest for that big event in Sydney.
Yes, absolutely. He spoke in English to the teleprompter in front of him.
but he's speaking far more confidently. We heard him most recently at Central Park in New York, where he was speaking at a global music festival. He wasn't quite as fluent as he was today. Clearly, his ability to deliver a speech in English improving quite significantly as he does more of these and does them more frequently. The Prime Minister currently, and I think our camera person showing you those pictures,
Yes.
in the midst of the community members here in Australia. You know, it's interesting. Everybody's forever trying to get a picture of him, and he actually had his arms outstretched to try and shake hands with you. But they were so busy trying to click selfies that they missed the opportunity. So the Times gentleman's wife started him saying that, you know, he wanted to shake hands with you. So it's huge, the kind of response. I spoke to the Attorney General of Queensland. We're going to be airing that interview in just a moment from now. He was plainly envious of the kind of response and reception the Prime Minister is getting. Remember, we're here in Queensland. You've got the Premier of Queensland. There are a fair number of Aussies too in the audience. But the level of excitement around Prime Minister Modi seems to be completely different. You know, when for example, Bill Clinton came to the India Today conclave, his aides spoke to us and they said that American presidents do a lot of this. It's called rubbing in, it's called shaking hands, flesh pressing, I think that's what he called it.
Okay.
And that's something that Indian Prime Ministers don't do so much of. But Modi just loves to do it completely. The moment he finished with his speech, he was out shaking hands, going out meeting people. He is essentially the first American-style politician that India has seen, potentially redefining what an Indian leader will need to do. If he
Absolutely,
hopes to talk to
Rahul.
Modi
And,
become
you know, he
Prime
seems to
Minister.
be enjoying it. He seems to be soaking in this adulation that he's receiving, be it in America or even in Australia. And we must remember that Sydney is perhaps where we will see a much bigger version of what we're seeing right now.
Oh, absolutely. This is a very, very small audience in comparison with and most of these are very senior members of the Indian community or the Australian community. In Sydney, it's going to be wild. It's going to be like the Madison Square Garden event where the Prime Minister will have people, big Modi fans, will be going completely crazy. That's a different setting. That's a different occasion. Here you've got Anand Mahindra in the audience. You've got a Madani here. The effort really to try, and the big investments made by Indian firms in coal, in mining here in Queensland. The effort is to try and increase trade, to try and increase investment, to try and streamline trade between the both nations. That's the primary focus in Queensland. But Sydney is really where you can really feel the energy. We've been speaking to the participants, looking at their preparations. Okay, now the Prime Minister getting some selfies clicked. He loves selfies. In fact, he signed up on Instagram and took his first picture here at the G20 summit.
That's
and
right.
that again was something that he did himself. So people, in fact, are quite astonished by the fact that he's able to keep an eye on social media in the midst of all of what he does. He's known to check his Twitter feed. He's got one person with him to whom he's dictating what needs to be put out. He's telling him constantly, suggesting ideas. And a lot of those ideas, a lot of those posts actually come from what the Prime Minister suggests. He's just exited the town hall. There's now a reception of all the people who've gathered over here. And the people who've managed to get pictures with the Prime Minister or selfies. I can see some people right below me. They're absolutely thrilled with the fact that they managed to catch the Prime Minister on their camera.
Absolutely, Rahul. It's quite amazing. Even the leaders there in Australia on the stage from Queensland itself, they're quite surprised to see the kind of enthusiasm that the crowd shared for the Prime Minister. But for the moment, Rahul, thanks so much for joining us with the very latest. We'll be touching base with you shortly as and when there are more developments. But let's also tell our viewers that the Prime Minister, he's gone hammer and tongs as far as the black money issue in Australia is concerned. This issue was top on Narendra Modi's agenda on day one of the G20 summit as well. Meeting the leaders for the first time in that summit, Modi made it clear that repatriation of unaccounted for black money abroad is his government's priority. He underscored the security and economic challenges that the black money posed to the international community and sought closer coordination among nations to tackle the menace. It was the first time that the security dimension of black money has been brought to focus. Modi's pitch was in line with the summit host Australia. who promised for a very aggressive crackdown on tax avoidance, which goes with India seeking strong action by G20 nations against tax havens. Now, Prime Minister also sending out a message that economic reforms should be people-centric and people-driven, completely insulated from politics. He called for a common strategy to tackle global terrorism with his earlier meetings yesterday with the French president and Canadian counterpart on the sidelines.